God has put some of you in a place where you're dreaming misfit dreams. And you might be misfit for the job that you're about to take on. And your dream might be a misfit, and it doesn't make sense on paper. Well, so we started to buy the building. We needed $4 million in 18 months. We had nothing. $40,000 a year in the offering, and we were attempting to buy a $4 million building. And so one day, my dad and I went to a Panda Express, and we were sitting there getting heavenly visions at Panda Express. And we were sitting there, and they had there's a napkin that we had. We were going to write down the pros and cons of starting the ministry. So we wrote down on one side of the paper the pros and the cons. And so we started with the cons. We say, what are the cons of buying a hospital with $40,000 a year in your budget? And so we wrote down on the side of the cons, we said, okay, it's a lot of money. Number two, people think we're crazy if we fail. Number three, we might ruin the church, And so we went to all these different, but there's only like 18 people, but we might ruin the church. And we had about 20 things on the side of the con that reasons why we shouldn't do it. And then one of the cons was all that we have in our church are ex-cons. So that's really a con, if you know what I'm talking about, So we had all these cons, and we had no pros, except for one thing. That's it. What if? Well, what if God wanted to take an old hospital that Paramount Studios was going to buy and turn it into a place of refuge where hundreds of people could be saved? What if gang members had a place to go to recovery? What if homeless families had a place? What if the prostitutes had an alternative at the church instead of being thrown into prison? What if young kids, instead of being emancipated in the system and running the streets of Hollywood, living in dumpsters, they had a place they can go? Your pros and cons don't always have to line up in order to dream the dreams of God. Misfit dreams, the pros and cons don't always add up. In fact, they shouldn't add up. They won't add up. Building buildings like this that you're doing right now, it doesn't make sense. But if the idea doesn't make sense, there's a good chance it might make history. The pros and the cons don't have to line up for you to take a step of faith, college students, and believe that God, it doesn't matter if you're in your classroom and you feel that everyone's smarter, you might have got a C in your homiletics class or a B in your preaching class, but that doesn't matter. The most important thing that what matters, because you want to get better at that, I'm still learning that, but what matters is what's in your heart, what God is birthing in your spirit. Dreaming misfit dreams in your life and believing that God can make it a reality. God loves misfits.